Okay, so the premise of this video right here is the 9 to 5 job. I've noticed since the bat incident that a lot of people have been preferring working from home because it's a little bit more convenient, which I tend to agree with. On top of that, after the bat incident and everything started to calm down, a lot of jobs required people to return to the office and return to the standard 9 to 5 hours. Not a lot of people tend to enjoy those. So we're just going to look at a couple videos, give our thoughts, and see if we agree. Yes or no.
30 and we leave at 3:30 because that's what we grew up doing in school and that's what they trained us to be used to, and then they just added on this extra time. Why did we get to grow up going to school from 8:30 to 3:30? Then we have extra time to do our extracurricular activities, but now we have to do our extra activities either before work or after work, which is even less time in the day.
I mean, they had to choose a time. It's not like why not six to two? Why not 9 to 10? They had to choose a time, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people don't necessarily care too much, or it's not that big a deal if it's a 9 to 5, as long as what they're doing is productive. I think the problem lies in what these people are doing, what their jobs are. A lot of people who are passionate about their jobs and what they do for a living don't necessarily count the hours, and sometimes the salary doesn't even matter that much. As long as what they're doing is productive and it brings them a sense of joy. She's saying her argument, or a lot of people's argument, are the hours, but I think the problem lies behind what they're doing within those hours, those 8 hours of the day. So I think that's why.
have extra time to do our extracurricular activities, but now we have to do our extra activities either before work or after work, which is even less time in the day. If we left at 3:30, that would be perfect because then you have an hour and a half or so to go to the gym, and then you can even still be out and about before the sun goes down. When we leave work at 5 or 5:30, the sun is literally down. It's depressing. We just want to crawl in bed and do absolutely nothing.
I tend to agree with the five, finishing at five thing. By the time you get home, it's already seven, and by the time you eat or shower, it's already nine. And nine, as everybody know, the moment you started adulthood, the moment you turned 18 and you started to work and earn money, 9 o'clock is becomes your new bedtime. There's no staying up till 11, 12, or whatever it may be. And I think that's why a lot of people are like disliking it, because they're used to staying up that late and they kind of miss being able to do that. But it's adulting, it happens. But back to what she was saying about the nine thing, I agree. I think it would be okay if a lot of people just left at 3. And if at all possible, if you have an employer with flexible work hours, I would recommend you ask them if you could start a little bit earlier and then you could leave early. That is one of the best things. If you're looking for a job, look if they have flexible work hours, because simply that means if you want to start early, you get to leave early. If you want to start later on in the day, so you don't have to rush to get to work, if you want to start at 10 and you leave at 7, whatever it may be, it's a really, really good deal. At least in my opinion and what I've seen and what I've experienced. So look for stuff like that, but I don't think it's that crazy. I agree with her. It's just that I don't think it's that big of a deal. Again, it depends on what you do for work.
everybody gets lazier, everybody gets tired, everybody gets depressed. I feel like this is a scam.
Another Tuesday in corporate America where I have paused my crash out, put on my corporate drag, and I'm at the office doing character work. All of my personal issues will be resuming once I leave the office around 6 p.m., so stay tuned.
Working a regular 9 to 5, full-time 9 to 5 is so evil. It is so, so evil, especially if you just start. I just started this job like in September. I only have 8 hours of sick pay. I'm already sick. It's only Tuesday. I can't even take that day off because then I'd have.
I think saying it's evil is a little bit of a stretch. I think a lot of people, when they get out of college or when they start in the workforce, they have this idea that everything is going to be perfect and they're going to get everything they want. I think the grand majority of some of these people is just starting their career. But I've noticed that some of them have been in their particular field for a very long time. It just, they had to choose a work hour. And if it's really that important to you, I think you should negotiate it or bring it up on your next performance review. Is it possible for me to work at home? Is it possible for me to start early so I can leave early? Start late so I can leave a little bit later because it would help me be more productive. These are things you need to ask your supervisor or your employer if it is okay for you to do something like that. But I'm sure there's a lot of people who are completely fine with the 9 to 5. Blue collar boys, regular people, regular Joes. They made it work around their schedule and they don't necessarily complain. Not that complaining or like saying that it's not the greatest thing, but there's a lot worse. I'm pretty sure, as I said before, if the 9 to 5 was around something that they actually enjoyed being productive, like some of these people, they're saying that they're going in just to pretend to be productive or just put on an act. And to me, that's why are you doing it at that point if it's really that detrimental to your well-being or your health? Why not just quit? But some people don't have the option to quit, which I understand, but I guess they don't have any other outlet, so they're just saying these things on social media. I don't think, here's what I think. I don't think the 9 to 5 is bad. I don't think you are necessarily somehow supposed to think that these working hours are unacceptable. They had to choose something, so they chose 9 to 5. But if you believe that that doesn't suit what you would like, you need to bring it up with your supervisor. That's all.
I'm very sick right now. I have to wear a mask in the office. My manager looked at me crazy when I told her I wasn't feeling well. She looked at me with disgust. First of all, I understand because any person who comes in the office and they're sick, I'd be looking at you sideways too. I don't want to get sick, but I am sick. So what am I supposed to do? I can't even get my nails done. Look at that. I can't even get my nails done.
Okay, that I want to talk like a little bit, touch on a little bit about what she said about the manager, like looking at her in disgust. There are managers out there that require you to come in when you're sick, which is a sick thing, mind you. Like some of them, they don't necessarily care about your well-being. So if you're sick, they don't care as long as you come in and you do your work. I've personally had experiences with that, and it's not fun. And the worst types of managers actually are the ones that make you think that they're actually your family, but they treat you worse than like their cousins. Like some of the tasks or the hours they ask you to work, they would never ask any of their family members to do that. So I always found it funny when they say we're like family here. If anybody tells you, or like any job tells you that we're like family here, run. They're not gonna treat you like family. They're gonna use the family card to guilt trip you into doing things for them. Like cleaning the entire store or working a double when they had other people that could work the double too. Or when you're in a rush, they're the ones that are just sitting on their phone and then you're the one running around the store when they're supposed to be helping you. Doesn't make any sense. So if the managers or any boss are telling you that, yo, we're like a family here, red flag. Don't even bother. Don't even bother showing up to the first day. All right? It's not a good look. Some exceptions, maybe they actually like look out for one another, or like let's say you have a task and let's say you have a job and you have like you finished it, and somebody that the customer like needed like a follow-up and you're on a new project, then one of your colleagues, your boss, could just like say, hey, I could help you out with this. I know what he did on that. That's the exception. But if you have bosses who are just telling you that, yo, we're family here. I don't know you. We're not blood. We're not family. I come in, I do the job that I was required to do, and I get paid accordingly. So don't, I'm not your family, bro. That's all. That's all I wanted to say. It's just that it's interesting that she said that, and there are people out there who would actually take advantage of you because of that. And even when you're sick, they ask you to come in. So keep in mind.
Is just passing them by because of their job in corporate America. And you try really hard to compartmentalize your life and your job, but you have anxiety. And so everything just meshes together. And you end every single day with 15 tasks that you didn't complete. So it just gets pushed the next day, and you're just in this never ending cycle of feeling like you're behind and like you're not doing enough. I'm going insane.
You stupid ads, bro. But like, one of the worst feelings, I would say, is it has to do with feeling like you're not doing enough in a particular field, especially in a field that you are actually passionate about. And if there are people who are tied or directly linked to benefiting from what you're doing, you feel like you're failing them. And that doesn't apply solely to work or like a regular 9 to 5. That applies to like everyday life. Like you feel like your family needs certain things and you're feeling like you're falling short. That's probably one of the worst feelings, and it makes you feel like you're inadequate and you're not worthy of, like, let's say, a break because I didn't do a certain amount of tasks. I don't necessarily have a solution for that. I think it's more like you need to understand that sometimes things don't get done on time. Sometimes you may feel tired and you need a break, but if you keep working, you're just gonna like damage up here. And then you start thinking about all the things that you didn't get done, and then you just get stuck. Like it's hamster wheeling in your mind. So you don't necessarily feel as if you're worthy of whatever compliments may come your way. That's probably the worst one, thinking that you're undeserving. So if you are in a situation like that, I would recommend just like relax, take a break, chill out, because most of the time, a lot of the problems, like if you're stuck on a particular task, they would be resolved, or they tend to be resolved after you have a fresh mind, after you reset a little bit, and then you should be fine. That's all.
How are y'all dealing with the emotional reality of having to work for the rest of your lives? I genuinely do not know how.
So to conclude, there was a lot of interesting opinions. Some people feel as if they're not doing enough in their job. Some people feel like the 9 to 5 work period is a little bit of a scam. Some people think it was incorporated to train us to be a certain way, which I don't necessarily agree with. I just think that they had to choose a time, and they chose 9 to 5 as standard. Just like if they chose 12 o'clock for lunch, right? That's pretty standard across the world, I believe. But I think it all comes down to this: are you passionate about your job? Do you get a sense of joy or like relief? And does that relief and gratification come from the fact that you make more money, or does it come from the fact that you accomplish something that would be impactful, whether it be to society, whether it be to a family member, whether it be to the world as a whole? That's the most important thing when you're like in a job, because it doesn't matter if you are genuinely passionate. If you think of any other time you've ever been like really into like a project, you lose track of the hours that you've been engaging in that task. Like you don't even count the hours. Like if you're finding yourself counting the hours down till you get off work, it's just gonna take longer for you to get off. That's a weird phenomenon that I never understood. Like the more you think about time, the longer it seems to pass. But the when you don't think about it that much, it passes so quickly. And I think it's the same. I think it's linked to the fact that you're immersed in whatever you're doing. So if you're working a 9 to 5 and you enjoy it, keep on doing what you're doing. But if you work in a 9 to 5 and you don't enjoy what you're doing, think about changing a little bit, or like maybe switching to a different department. That's all.